Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Thanks so much for joining in. If you're watching this live, put a little comment to let me know that you're here. Say hello. If you're watching the replay, just put hashtag replay and make this interactive. So today I want to talk a little bit about overwhelm, especially this time of the year coming into the silly season. We can get overwhelmed really, really quickly. But you don't have to because well, we all know that it really does suck the life out of any situation. It sucks the joy out of it. It makes everything really, really harder than it needs to be. So I want to give you guys some practical tips and things that you can do if you tend to get overwhelmed from time to time that you can do so that you can change that habit around. Okay. All right. So let's start off with, what actually happens when we're overwhelmed. And from a biological perspective, your brain, the lights in the front of your brain. So here in the front here is where we make all of our strategic good decisions, that logical sort of things. So when we're overwhelmed, these lights turn off and all the lights in the back of the brain lights up like a Christmas tree. Okay. So this is why, have you ever heard somebody say, or maybe it was yourself, I'm so angry, I can't even think straight. That's because your brain has done this little flip and you literally can't think straight because of what your brain has done. Okay. So the trick is to get that to turn these lights off and turn these lights on. Now, if anyone's got any kids, you'll know that when they were little and if they were having a little temper tantrum or they were really upset about something or just really feeling distressed, you know, I know this is what we used to do. We would try and distract them. Yeah. "Oh, look at the little doggy, or look over there, or and try and get them their focus away from the thing that was causing the distress and onto something that they liked or would change their mood essentially because they're switching their focus. So it's the same for us, even as adults, because it's a very sort of primal sort of reaction that's going on here with what your brain is doing. So, the best thing that you can do when you are feeling really overwhelmed is to walk away or distract yourself, do something that switches your focus up. So, the lights turn back on in the front here and they turn off in the back here. Then we see things differently. We can see things so much clearer. Okay. Now, I get that that can be quite hard to do in the moment. All right. I get that. However, the more that you are aware of what's actually going on, the more you'll be able to eventually start to change that and start to make those little changes that then cause you to recognize, okay, this is what's going on. I need to sort of step away. All right. So that's the first part of it. The second part, though, which is equally as important, is to recognize what is triggering you. Notice if you've got patterns, and this is where you need to be really, really honest with yourself. Okay. You can't fix something unless you're aware that of what is happening that needs to be fixed. Okay. Now, you don't need to go into a lot of detail. You don't need to go into therapy or anything like that. It's just recognizing, okay, well, when I am in this situation at work, at home, out in the streets, whatever, with this particular person, colleague, partner, boss, kids, whatever, and this goes on, this is how I tend to react. Okay. So this is not finger pointing either. This is just making some very factual sort of observations. When I'm with this person doing this or in this situation doing that, I tend to feel overwhelmed. All right, that's it. That's all I want you guys to do. Because from that, you'll be able to see, okay, well, this is where I need to make some changes. Are there some beliefs that I've got going on? A lot of time, the overwhelm comes, especially for women, is when we can't say no because we have this built in people pleasing gene. And we find it hard to say no. So we take on too much. And then, it gets to that point where we can't do it and we feel like we're running out of time. and there's that pressure and all of that sort of stuff. So part of it is that we people please. So have a look, do you do that? Do you find it hard to say no to people? Because at the end of the day, if you can't do ABC job, they're probably going to ask someone else because you're not the only person in the world. I'm very sorry to tell you. So this is where it's recognizing, oh, okay, yeah, that's me. I find it hard to say no. I find it hard to set boundaries. And it's not the boundaries that we it's not setting the boundaries, it's enforcing the boundaries that we often have a hard time with. So this is where you've got to recognize, okay, well, yeah, that's me. I can't say no. I have no boundaries or I don't keep the boundaries. I do tend to overcommit. All of these sorts of things. And then there's also going to be beliefs around yourself, whether you feel that you can do it, you can't do it, all of that sort of stuff. But once you start to look at the situational events and the patterns, that's when you'll be able to start to go, okay, well, what's a little bit deeper? What's a little bit underneath that? Okay. Because until you then change that, and this is something that will take, baby steps, start doing it. It'll take a little bit of time, but until you start doing that, the law of attraction cannot give you anything other than what you're sending out, okay? So if you continue to do these patterns, you're going to continue to get the same result, which is resulting in you feeling overwhelmed. All right. I hope this is making sense. So just let me know in the comments if you do have questions around this, or if there's anything you want me to clarify as well, even if it's on the replay. All right. So your practical tips: awareness. Okay. Awareness of your triggers. Then do something about it. That is your responsibility. It's not up to anyone else to change what they do or how they are or anything like that. It is your responsibility to do something about how you react to a situation. And sometimes that does involve having a conversation because a lot of people are walking around just on autopilot. They don't even know they're doing what they're doing half the time. Sometimes it becomes such a habit. Stuff falls out of your mouth before you even realize. It's like when somebody says, how are you? And you say, good. Even if you're not, it's just one of those little automatic things that just falls out of your mouth before you even know what's going on. So sometimes there needs to be conversations, but you need to have those conversations from a place where you are feeling calm and there's no finger pointing. Okay. And a way that you can do that is to, even just sort of set the framework and make sure that the other person is in a place where they are able to sit and listen. If they're busy doing something, you come in, start wanting to talk about something else, it's not going to be received very well. All right. It's the same if the roles were reversed, if they've come in interrupting what you're doing. So you can set a time where, oh, can we have a little bit of a chat later on? There's something important that I want to talk to you about. Okay. And then you've got that sort of stage set where you're both agreeing to meet at that particular time. Okay. Um, Also, so then when you're talking to it, put it no blaming. Okay. So it could be something like, did you know that when X happens, I feel Y? All right. So there's no you did this and makes me none of this finger pointing. So just when this happens, I feel this way. Okay. And they're going to respond to however they're going to respond. And you don't have to defend what you do or anything like that. It's just coming from that place so that they are then aware of what they're doing. And then, hopefully they're going to maybe adjust something or you'll come to some sort of agreement. Okay. Also be very aware of how you use the word but. Okay. Everything that's said after but sort of cancels out what's before. So if you say to them, I love you, but it's like, oh, here we go. All right. Here we go. What's she going to say now? So when you use the word but, you can actually use it very strategically. And so, for example, when I get a lot of, there's a lot of spam that comes through on Messenger. So, and they'll send me this big long message and say, "Do you want this?" And it's like, "Oh my God, no, I do not want this." However, I will say to them, um, I don't want your offer or whatever it is, but thank you very much for asking. Okay. So it's not, it's, they're still getting the message, but it's in a nicer way. I hope that makes sense. All right. So just be aware of how you use the word but. And then you need to also, when I was talking about boundaries before, you need to also get good at enforcing your boundaries. Okay. So we treat people how, we teach people how to treat us. All right. So if we are not going to enforce a boundary, then we can't expect them to stick to it. You know what I mean? It's like when you have kids and they have a tantrum in the shopping center because you want a lolly and you give them the lolly. So they learn, okay, well, if I do this action, I will get this result. And it's something that, we kind of carry with us, and not to the same degree, but we learn, if I do this, then mum will cave, or if I say this, then I don't have to do that. it, we learn these sorts of behaviors, but we learn them because, as the person, the parent, the wife, the colleague, whatever, we allow the boundary to be stretched. Okay, so then the person thinks the next time it's going to be okay to stretch it again. So this is where it's up to you to really enforce those boundaries. You don't have to do it in a nasty way or anything like that, but you do need to enforce them because we teach people how to treat us. All right, and get learn how to say no without guilt. All right, you're not the only person in the world that can do whatever it is that they need, and sometimes it's easier, not easier, sometimes it's better to actually help the person to do it themselves rather than you do it for them. It's like that, I'm really good at butchering quotes. It's the teach a man to give a man a fish and he eats for a day, teach him to fish and he eats for the rest of his life, sort of thing. So that's what I'm saying here. You're allowed to say no. Um, no, I'm not going to do that, but I will help you, or I will show you, or I will teach you so that they can do it themselves in future. All right. You're actually helping them to grow, to get a new skill, to become more independent, feel good about themselves for achieving something. All right. Okay. And another tip for you guys, ask for help. Okay. This is one I had to learn. Yeah, it took me a little bit to learn. The people in your life are not mind readers. And just because you know that it should be done doesn't mean that they know that as well, or doesn't mean that they see it that same way. So if you want something done, you need to ask for help. All right. Let them help you as well. Release a little bit of that control. There is no one way to do something. You can show them how you do what you do, and you can explain why you do it the way that you do it. All right. So, for example, Matt used to make fun of me because of how I hung out the washing, but there was actually, there was, I did it in that way. So I would really shake everything out and do it nice and straight because I hated ironing. So I made sure that when I was hanging out the washing, that I did it in a way that meant there was less ironing for me to do down the track, okay, not just throw it on the line. So that's what I keep, if you don't want to iron, then this is how you need to do it. So, but in saying that, there is no one way to do stuff. So you can explain how you do things and why you do it that way. At the end of the day, though, you're looking for an outcome. All right. And if they're able to do the same job, get the same outcome, but in a different way, then fantastic. Because there is more than one way to do things. Okay. And you might actually find, they might teach you something. I saw a video on, was it Instagram, on how to put a doona cover on. And they laid it out flat and then they rolled it. It was inside out and they rolled it up and they tucked the corners in and then they unrolled it. And it's like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen. All right. And I've been doing it the hard way. So this was a brand new way to do something that I thought I knew how to do. So there's always different ways. So just be open to that and let people help you. and be grateful for their help. Even if it's not how you would have done it, okay? Be grateful that they helped you, otherwise they're not gonna wanna help you again. You know what it's like if you do something for someone and all they do is criticize, or they don't say thank you, or they don't seem grateful that you did it. It's exactly the same way. So if somebody helps you and they've done something, be grateful for their help. Thank them. You can, if there is something that still needs to be done, you can say, thank you so very much for that. Next time, can you also do this? All right? Easy. You're not using the word but. Okay. You did a great job, but no. Thank you so much. You did a great job. Next time, can you also do this? All right. Otherwise, you are just digging your own hole. They won't want to help you again. Okay. And you are also inadvertently teaching them that what they've done and how they've done it is not good enough. Now, that will definitely not be your intention, I'm pretty sure. However, you think about it. If somebody says that to you and they criticize what you do and how you do it, how does that make you feel? Okay. And so, even if it's not your intention, there could be a part of it that is inadvertently saying to them, because you don't know how people perceive and how they perceive a situation, a comment, or anything. All right. So, you're inadvertently teaching them that what they did is not good enough. So, they won't want to do it again. Okay. All right. So, the next tip, when you are really overwhelmed, consciously decide to go and take 5 minutes or as much time as you need to go and distract yourself. You need to consciously make the choice to go and distract yourself, to walk away, to calm down. As counterintuitive as that may seem in the moment, because often when we're overwhelmed, there's a time pressure, there's some other sort of pressure going on that we're putting on ourselves. It seems a bit silly to go and take 5 minutes when you think you should be using that 5 minutes to do whatever it is that you need to do. However, because your brain's not working optimally, you are better off to take that 5 minutes, go and calm down, go and distract yourself, get yourself back to a nice, happier state, because then when you come back, you'll be able to see it with different eyes. All right. You notice how when our great ideas, they often come when we're not thinking, because our brain has space to be able to see things differently. So, as counterintuitive as it may be, give it a go, and properly calm yourself down, properly change your mood, feel good, feel different, and then go. You've got that pressure, it's making you feel really, really low, you're on a lower vibration, so that is all you can attract in that moment. When you bring yourself back up to neutral or above, then you're able to see things differently, okay? Mm, excuse me. Alrighty. Now the next tip that is gonna help you guys as well is to go and do something that is just for you every single day without guilt. Okay, and without thinking of anything else other than what it is you're doing. So if you are taking, I don't know, 15 minutes to have a nice coffee, enjoy the coffee, taste the coffee, sip the coffee, don't gulp it down like you normally do. Savor the flavors. If you're going for a walk, be present in the walk, notice the surroundings, look at how beautiful the nature is where you're walking. If you're doing yoga, be on the mat, be present in the yoga, focus on your breathing, be in your body in that moment. Don't be thinking about all the million things that you have to do and what we're going to do for dinner and all of that sort of stuff. Be present 100% in the moment with what you're doing, okay? Because that is going to help nourish you as well. Now, if that's a new concept for you, start off once a week. You don't have to do it every day if it's new for you. Start off once a week, then increase it to twice a week, and you'll eventually get up there. And you don't have to take an hour. Even if it's only 15 minutes or half an hour or 10 minutes, it doesn't even matter. Maybe you do multiple 5 minute little meditations or something like that, or, multiple little 10-minute breaks throughout the day to go and stand on the grass or just have the sun on your face or do something that is for you. Okay. We can all afford that small amount of time out of the 10,000 plus minutes that are in our week, every week, that we are all equally allotted. We can afford to take 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 60 minutes of that every day. Okay. All right. And it doesn't matter what it is that you do, as long as while you're doing it, you are present and you feel good. That's it. That's it. Because that is raising your vibration. Okay. And that's also going to help. We've heard that saying to keep your cup full. It's going to help you to keep your cup full. Now, your cup is actually always full. It's what is it full of, though? That's important. All right. So that's what you need to really pay attention to. So if you are taking time for yourself, if you're feeling happy, if you're keeping your vibration up, then generally you're going to be a happy, positive sort of person. That's what your cup is going to be full of, those happy, positive vibes. That is then what you're giving out to people. All right. And if you're not, then it can't be empty. All right. There will be something else. If it's not positive, it'll be negative. And then that is what you're spilling out to people. So just be aware. Your cup is always going to be full, but what is it full of? Because that is the ripple that you are going to be putting out there. And the good news, though, is that at any moment you can change that. All right. That's pretty cool. And then the last thing is to practice gratitude every day. If you are a journaler, great. Have a book, write it all down. There's something really magical happens when you actually write with a pen, not type it out, and it makes you really connect to the words. So if you are a journaler, then great, do that. And again, you don't have to spend hours on this. You can just spend 5 minutes. That's fine, and just write down what you're grateful for. If you don't like to write, then just take 5 minutes and just go through it in your mind, list it all out in your mind. And for those times where you don't feel grateful, or it's a little bit hard to feel grateful, because let's be real, sometimes that happens, then find something to appreciate about the situation. Okay. If you're at work, appreciate that your boss has gone to all this expense and risk and set up this business that you get to work at. Appreciate the job that your colleagues do. All right. Don't go into the, oh, but I would do it. No, no, no. Appreciate that they're here and they do help. In their way, they do help. And then cut it off at that. All right. Everyone does their best. There's lots of experience in that office. There's lots of talent. Okay. Appreciate that when you all work together, that there's going to be something amazing at the end of it. If you are your own boss, appreciate that you are able to do that. Okay. If you have a dirty house, appreciate that you have a house to clean. Not everyone has a house. Appreciate that when the kids are screaming and you're fighting with the partner or whatever it is, appreciate that you actually have people in your life to share your life with. All right. So there's something that the appreciation will just sort of bring it back to a little bit of neutral. And then from there, you may be able to go into the gratitude side of things. But that is something that you can do if the gratitude is a little bit hard to get into. Okay. All right. So that is it. I've given you guys a lot of little tips here. Now, information is wonderful. If you don't do anything with it, you may as well have not even gotten the information. So, what are you going to do now? What is one thing that you can do, one action that you can do that is going to help you to not be so overwhelmed? Or when you do get overwhelmed, what is something that you're going to try to do? Okay. Without taking any actions, nothing is going to change. All right. And those actions they can be small to start with because every small action actually adds up to something big. We don't suddenly wake up one day and our life is the way it is. It's because of the little actions, the decisions, the choices that we've made in every moment over the past however many years or decades that we've been alive. Okay? So take some sort of action. If you need to go set those boundaries, go and do it. If you need to have conversations, go and do it. We teach people how to treat us. And if we've taught them that this way is okay over the past however many years, and now we're changing it, there may be a little bit of resistance because, at the end of the day, they kind of liked how it was. So that's not your problem, though. All right. Your job is to keep yourself happy, to keep yourself out of overwhelm, because when you're not in overwhelm, you are different around the people that you love as well. And that person who is happy and positive is a nicer person to be around than the overwhelmed, manic, crazy, panicky, angry person. All right. So there could be a little bit of resistance to start with. However, this is about how you frame it. Okay. I know that in the past I have done blah, 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 blah. However, it makes me feel blah, blah, blah. And I would really appreciate if you could blah, blah, blah. All right. So there's ways that you can say things that is going to get you're going to be heard in a way that is not finger pointing and a way that is going to be received a lot better. Okay. All right. So have a think about what is one thing that you can do today that is going to help reduce that overwhelm down the track. Go back and re-listen to what I've said. Ask any questions if you have them. You can either message me or you can put them in the comments. Be sure to tag me and I will gladly explain or give you more information about that. All right. But this is up to you now. What are you going to do? And the good news is that it is up to you. You don't have to wait around for somebody else to do it. All right. This is your life. So go and take charge of it. And before I wrap up, I'm going to leave you with one quote from a lady called Anne Lamott. And she says, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. All right, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed today's live. I will see you on Wednesday for the next one. It'll be more around money and overwhelm in money. So join me there. And until then, have an amazing day. All right. Bye bye.